Today we're going to be making a clam boil for two, fresh seafood picked right out of the ocean here at Atlantic Ocean off of Truro yesterday. And we're going to start with the potatoes. Potatoes, this is all the ingredients we'll be using. We have fish, sausage, breakfast sausage, hot dogs, potatoes, clams, and because some quahogs came up with the clams, we're going to throw those in too. And Tom always gets oysters when we go out, so the oysters will be going on in the clam bake too. First thing we're going to do is get the potatoes ready. When we make a clam boil, we have a whole potato, and a whole potato is going to go at the bottom of the clam boil because they take the longest to cook. Everything else just takes 5-10 minutes and it's going to be done. So you want to get your potatoes started first and give them a head start before you put anything else in. First thing you have to do is prick the potato, because if you don't prick the potato, it has a tendency to blow up. All right, so this is only for two people. We're going to start with just 3 little potatoes. We have a pan, about 2 inches of water in the pan. No spices. The goal here is just to get the potatoes soft. So we're going to take that as is and bring it on over to the cook stove. Cover her up, and we'll let that go for about 20 minutes. While the potatoes are cooking, we'll get the rest of the food ready. The next thing to go in would be the clams. That will be our second layer. On top of that, we'll be putting our fish, some breakfast sausage, a couple of hot dogs, the oysters and the quahogs, and a lot of times in the summertime we'll put lobsters on top of this, but seeing as it's February, it's not lobster season. We're just going to go with the basics and everything that we could get fresh this week. Starting with the fish, take just a couple of small pieces of, what is this, Tom?
That's black flounder or winter flounder.
Winter flounder, which we caught last June, and it was in the freezer. And just season it up very lightly. You want the flavor of the fish to be the star here. Little bit of salt, little bit of pepper. Some people like to put a little piece of butter in there. Other people just like to take it and squeeze some lemon on it. So we'll do 1 pack of each. So the fish we're just going to wrap real easily, and easy to do with wax paper. If you have a local fish market, sometimes you can buy these wax bags pre-made. Not necessary. This is all you need to do. We're going to be placing that on top of the clams. It's not going to move, so you don't have to worry about anything falling out. And the only time it'll be coming out is when you're taking out to eat it. So there, we have our fish ready. Let's do one more and put some lemon in this one. I think the fish is one of my favorite parts. That, and believe it or not, I like the hot dog. Little bit of butter. Let's squeeze some lemon. Give it a little extra flavor.
When we catch this flounder, we fillet it the same day, and I vacuum seal it. It vacuum seals wonderful. You just pat it dry, vacuum seal it, and you can pull. I pull these things out almost a year later, and they still have. They don't smell. They have a nice flavor to them. They don't go bad.
The hot dogs, we're just going to put them on top of the clam so they're ready to go as is. The sausage, because they're a little bit greasy, and they have a tendency to expel that into the clam, I like to wrap those in the foil, in the wax paper also. Just put 3, 2, whatever you want. Some people throw them right on top of the clams. That's okay too. And that's ready to go. So we have sausage, fish, hot dogs, and the rest of the seafood.
Yep.
Now this is about 4 pounds of steamer soft shell clams. These are called quahogs. You might know them as hard shell clams, and of course these are your oysters.
So while we're waiting for the potatoes to get soft, we're going to have a little appetizer here. These are just oysters we got, and I take them, shuck a few, and then I just take maybe not even a half a stick of butter, because there's not too many. I've made up to 50 of these for parties, but So it just depends. I never measure anything, but I'll take maybe a half a stick of butter, maybe a little less, with, you know, cup maybe at the most of breadcrumbs. And I just want the breadcrumbs to be moist. So I just add, you know, the melted butter to it, stir it up till it's nice and moist. I put them on the oysters, and I take bacon. You can take, there's a Portuguese sausage they use up here, chorizo, linguiça. You can do anything you want with them, but I don't put any hot sauce. That's up to the people that like that. No salt and pepper, because these are really salty. And we just plop them in the oven, 5-10 minutes, depend how warm it is. And it's not going to take long. 5 minutes. I might turn these once, because the hottest part of it, obviously, if you use cook stoves, you know the hottest part is where the firebox is. So we're gonna we'll keep an eye on them. They shouldn't take long, and they're really good. She can attest to that. All right, I'm gonna check on those oysters, because I think they are done. Oh yeah. Ooh, that oven's hot. These over here. Let's see. They are tasty. I'll test them in a minute.
Okay, the potatoes have been boiling for about 25 minutes now. After about 10 minutes, we took it off the hotter part of the stove and put it on the cooler part, which is somewhere around this area here. If you wanted it even slower or cooler, you could put it more to the right. And now we're going to add the rest of our ingredients. First thing I'm going to do is put everybody's secret weapon in. Just a little dash of Old Bay. Don't go too crazy on the Old Bay, because that can overpower things. I'm going to throw in the hard shell clams, because it might take a little longer for them to open up. And we're going to put all of the steamers in. Whoa. Nice batch, Tom. Okay.
Here's a little FYI. Is we soak them for usually 2 days in salt water, because they are in sand up here, so we tend to Lauren likes them to.
I like them to soak a few days so they can spit out some of that sand. Nothing worse than getting a clam and rinsing it in the broth and getting a mouthful of sand. So take a shot of that in there, Tom, and I'm just going to start layering things on. Okay, so I'm going to put the oysters on next. Just going to lay them out along the sides of the pan to fill in any holes, make it nice and flat. I'm going to put throw a couple of the hot dogs in, just lay it like so. Sometimes people around here like to put Portuguese sausage called linguiça or some chorizo. We lay that in there too. I like it. My family doesn't, because they say it sort of makes the clams taste too hot. I like it. So next I just put a couple of sausage packets, the folded side down. And we'll just put the fish on top of that. Make it so that all the steam stays right under that fish, like so, and cover her up. Then we'll probably let this go about 15 minutes, and we'll check it and take it from there.
Yeah, so now one of the nice things, we got a little appetizer while waiting for that other thing to cook, and these smell wonderful. And you can see, you just scoop them right out, one little scoop. Tasty. Simple. There's nothing to them. You can do this in a broiler, bake them. I mean, it just takes seconds. Again, like a little bit of butter, melt it, some breadcrumbs. Just put the butter in that, mix it till the breadcrumb is moist, and then just bacon, whatever you want to use. Really good. Some people put hot sauce on them, jalapenos, you name it. But they're pretty good. And I better get eating some of these, because somebody else will be eating them.
Okay, it's been about 25 minutes, and I've already checked, and the fish is done. We'll take everything out. Oopsie. Come on. Oh, sausage. Another fish. Sausage. Hot dog. All right, that's all that. I'll show that. That's that. Put it over here. Now, as you can see, the clams, one way you can tell the clams are done is if they're split open like this. You don't want your clams to stay in the water too long because it's then when you go to eat them, they'll be hard to get out of the shell. That tells you that you cooked your clams a little bit too long. So we're going to scoop the seafood out. Potatoes are at the bottom. We probably overcooked those a little bit, so we have to be careful taking this all out. We only take out as much as
we're gonna eat.
yeah. And then we usually put the pan, we take it off the stove and let the rest of the clams just sit a bit, because that way when we go to eat them, they'll still be hot. Oh,
good.
I see a potato. Some oysters. Oh, cold hogs are there too. We've got the butter on the side here, getting ready. And we'll get this all scooped out, and there's a potato. See, the potato's nice and cooked thoroughly. Be nice and soft. Okay, Tom, we can't forget to get some nice broth out so we can rinse our clams. Nothing worse than putting a sandy clam in your mouth. Not only is this good for that, but if you have any leftover clams or you want to make a chowder, this is your base stock for your chowder.
And we just had a chowder.
Yesterday. Sea clams
With
that
sea
time.
clams I dug.
All right, let's sit down and eat.
So as you can see, all of this was done on our wood cook stove. I mean, you could do this on any stove, but while this is heating the house, we like to cook on it. I hope you guys like the video. She likes the clams. That's our supper. That's what it made. It's really not hard to make, although Lauren does all the work.
All right, here's the big test, Tom. Let's see if they're done. Thing about clams, if you overcook them, they don't come right out. Usually the bellies get stuck inside. This one came right out. Then you have to peel the neck off the top, down the side. Voila. I'd say that's pretty much the perfect clam. Let's rinse her off. And the piece de la resistance, the butter. And I also like to steal a little of this from my potato. I remember when I was growing up, right, we would have a clam boil almost every Tuesday night, and my mother would invite my grandmother and my grandfather over. And my grandmother and my grandfather were the perfect couple. She liked the bellies, and he liked the necks. So my grandmother would sit there and shell all the clams, eat the bellies, and give him the necks. You think that'll be us someday?
No. Because I like it all.